Okay. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to our bi-weekly talk at Nature Center for the Studio Forum. We're so excited to be here today with our special guests, Joshua Snell, otherwise known as Wavy Snell, and Manny Rionda from Philibag. We're so happy to have you here. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody. I'm Manny Rionda with Philibag.
Hey, everyone. I'm super excited to talk about our oceans for about an hour. And thanks for having me and Manny.
Yes, it's so good to have you. I wanted to share a special video. I'm going to share 2 short videos to get us started, kick us off, and give our audience some background on what Save the Wave project is and the Philibag project is. So we'll get started with Philibag. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
In 2015, we got into the habit of bringing a bag with us every time we took a walk on the beach. The amount of trash and marine debris that we would see on a daily basis was staggering. So we thought, what if we filled a bag every day and came back, took a selfie, shared it up with our socials and our networks, our chats, and not to do it in a way to brag, but really to bring awareness to this issue. And we discovered that we weren't alone in this activity. There were other people who cared. Every now and then we'd forget to bring our bag. So we would find a bag or a shoe or a helmet or a cup and whatever it was, and we would fill it. So then we thought, what if we could make it easier for people to fill a bag on any given day by setting up some kind of a station or something that held bags so that when you got to the beach, you can grab a bag and take a Philibag walk. Before long, we started seeing other people on the beach doing the same thing. And it was then that we realized that, hey, we're onto something here, you know? And what we began to realize was that this is addicting behavior. You know, this is something that when you do it, something happens. There's a spark is lit within you. Participating in eco-activism, people are not only more observant of marine life, respectful of their own environments, but it also translates into changes in behavior and lifestyle awareness. Your thing may not be picking up marine debris. Maybe it's bringing your own water bottle everywhere you go, or carrying your reusable bags to the grocery store each time, or refusing single-use plastic, but it'll be something.
Wow, I mean, so inspiring. I wanted to take a minute. I was going to jump right into Josh's video. That was the plan, but
it's a very complex environmental problem.
It's going to be very difficult to fix this.
It spreads so wide.
We're still here in the next video. Sorry about that. but I just want to take a moment because I feel so inspired from that video. I feel so inspired by your project, Manny. Um, I I'm curious, uh, eco activism, and you know, how has this project has changed your life?
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks for sharing that video. Uh, when we first launched the Fill the Bag initiative, we did it under the MVP model, minimal viable product. We're going to put something out there and we're going to allow it to evolve and develop organically according to the community that's behind it, according to their creativity, their resources, their interests. And because what we discovered through the simple act of doing a beach cleanup, it leads to changes in behavior. And we call this a gateway eco activity, something that just kind of, it's really simple to do, and it will lead to fill in the blank. It will lead to organized cleanups. It will lead to projects with schools. It will lead to art installations. It will lead to new friendships and collaborations like we have here. So it has changed my life because I always, I feel like I'm a connector. I've always been a connector. My work as a teacher prior to what I'm currently doing, coaching in my community, connecting people and connecting with each other and connecting groups, and now connecting with our environment. And to be able to, it's like when I was a teacher, when I taught first grade, I was able to teach kids how to read, and you see those light bulbs going off and it's a spectacular moment. Well, when you go out and do a cleanup with somebody, or you just see them, or you hear about an experience they had, and you see that light bulb going off, it's just really powerful.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'd like to show Josh's video, and then we'll get into the discussion about how both of your inspiring projects are working together. So I'm going to share my screen again. And
while you're pulling it up, I'd just like to say real quick, off of what Manny just said, is when you do that first cleanup, because a lot of times we have people from all ages, but a lot of these little kids will do that first cleanup and it'll open their eyes to this world of plastic pollution. And all it takes is that first cleanup for them. And then they go and buy their reusable bottles. They make these small changes or big changes in their life to keep our oceans healthier. So I don't know. I just really like what Manny had to say there, and I wanted to add that in before we jump into my video.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. And Josh, you've been a huge inspiration to children, and you guys will all see why in just a moment.
Our oceans are full of plastic! Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man, the voyage to the corner of the globe is a real trip. Ocean man, the crust of the tan man, by the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man. Our oceans are...
Okay, let me get out of YouTube. Stop sharing, and here we go. All right, awesome. Josh, so I have to tell our audience, Joshua is my son, and he, when he showed us that video, I got it at like 4:30 in the morning. I was up really early, and he had sent it to us the night before, and it was just a link on my phone, and I pulled it up, and I was like, I think I almost dropped my coffee. So I love the energy of that video, Josh, and it's been a really fun video for you to share. Josh, could you tell us about your Save the Wave project?
Yeah, so I started this brand, Save the Wave, when I was almost 2 years ago now, when I was 20. And basically I live in a bus and travel the coast doing beach cleanups and informing people on the health of our oceans and the state of our oceans health rather. I thrift and upcycle clothing and print my design on it. So each piece of clothing I make is one of one, and I sell it to people, and 50% of my profits go to nonprofits, not 501c3 nonprofits like Manny's. Fill a Bag is the current nonprofit I'm raising money for, and yeah, so far I've raised over 30 grand for our oceans, and I document usually all my travels. I've been off because of COVID for the past like year, almost a little bit over a year now. So I haven't been traveling my bus. I've just been hunkered down at home. But so that the life in the bus seems pretty distant to me right now. But usually I'm traveling in the bus. I'm doing these beach cleanups. I'm making these shirts, selling them, and kind of spreading my message. And I've accumulated thousands of followers on social media, cheering me on for Save the Wave and, pushing my limits. And that's just kind of a brief explanation of what I do.
That's awesome. We're all so inspired, and I'm so proud of you, Josh, and the work that you're doing. And I think you made, this word connection came up for both of you. Manny, you talked about it, and Josh, I know that it's important to you. What does it mean? How does it feel to connect with people because of one vision that you have for a cleaner ocean? How do we do that? How are you doing that over social media? And why is that important?
Well, I'll be happy to answer that. When we first started going and hosting cleanups, I would always, the first question would be, who's ever been to a beach cleanup? And there, out of maybe 20 people, 1 or 2 would raise their hand. And so the way to make connections is by attaching that new experience to existing knowledge, to prior knowledge, to your schema. So, then I would say, who's ever been to the beach? And everyone would raise their hand. Who's ever seen trash on the beach? People would raise their hands. Then you start getting that input. So right there, people start connecting with their environment and with this experience that's going to happen. Once they go through that activity, the connections that they make are, they could be all over the place. They're connecting with their environment, they're connecting with each other, they're connecting with themselves. Many people, like myself included, this is my form of therapy. When I need to sort of center myself and ground myself, just go down to the beach, grab a bucket, and do a fill a bag walk. And if by doing this, you're able to reflect on a varying things that will hopefully foster those connections.
Right. Are people surprised of the problem that we're having, the pollution problem? I mean, are they surprised by the amount of garbage that they're finding?
They really are. People always ask me, where's this stuff coming from? Mm-hmm. And what I've read is that about 80% of marine debris comes from inland sources. So in the city where there's trash on the street and it rains and it floods and that trash goes into a storm drain and it shoots out into the ocean, or when there are natural weather events like windstorms or cyclones or hurricanes, they move trash around. Trash in underdeveloped countries that's on the streets makes it to little streams, then makes it to rivers, and then is shot out to the ocean. So I think the bigger surprise is when people realize how much is actually in the ocean, not necessarily where it came from, but how much is actually there.
Right. I know that, Josh, that was a big eye-opening moment for you and it really inspired this project. Can you tell us more about, how you learned about the plastic pollution problem and microplastics in particular?
Yeah. So, there's single-use plastics are probably one of the biggest issues I preach on, because Those are things that we as consumers, humans are consumers, and it's hard not to be in this modern day and age where these big corporations are almost shoving plastic down our throats. Like it's almost hard to live a normal life in the United States or anywhere really, and not be using single-use plastics every day. I mean, you have to really be mindful and try not to. And it's amped up almost way worse in this COVID world where, I mean, think about this time last year, everybody was getting takeout food from their local restaurants, and it all comes wrapped up in plastic utensils, plastic, you know what I mean? So, and it all just adds up. When you go to the gas station for a drink, you're buying it out of a plastic bottle, you know what I mean? So all that stuff really adds up. I mean, we're talking billions and billions of plastic bags, like grocery store bags being used every month, you know what I mean? So the numbers are really staggering. I don't have any numbers pulled up right now. Usually I'm on my game, but I mean, the facts are really, really disgusting. And I just kind of really, when I do cleanups and I speak to groups, I really touch on single-use plastics and how it makes the biggest difference, just kind of being mindful of how much you're using every day.
Right. No, you opened our eyes, you know, even here at the house. Josh got us recycling, and we had to buy containers, and we got really organized, and we started composting, and we started really paying attention to what we were consuming and how we were consuming it. So once your eyes are open to the problem, it's hard to look away. Josh, I know that beach cleanups are a big part of your travels. What is your experience when people get out there for the first time and start seeing the problem for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. And also, we were just talking, when you were talking about this with Manny and talking about connection, I wanted to bring up social media, which is what I use social media to my advantage. I use that as a leverage, and I film these videos and I broadcast all these cleanups across the world. And by doing that, I've had people from I actually just had this girl from Ireland reach out to me last week, talking about how I inspired her and her sister to do they're going to start making jewelry out of plastic pollution that they find in their local areas. So it's just like, and then I have people from all over the country just kind of starting their own initiatives just because they're inspired by me. So I guess, but I mean, yeah. So that's kind of what I like seeing more, is like kind of the impact I can make on a social media level, because I don't know, the numbers there are awesome too.
Yeah, I would say that the best connections that I've made personally have been with the people that I've met along the way, and present company included. Quick story. I was, on Instagram a couple years ago. I started following Save the Wave, and I see these two guys driving, and like I see their story, that video, it still gives me goosebumps watching that video. I was like up here dancing to it. And I see these two guys are traveling in the Wave Saver, this bus that they bought, like an airport shuttle bus, and they are sleeping in Walmart parking lots and Home Depots and stuff. And I was like, and I see that they're in Florida. I go, dude, what, you guys want to come down? I got a place for your bus. That's all I had to say. I didn't say anything else. I'm like, yeah, I got a place for your bus. And they came down, and they're like, sure, we'll come. And I put them up here at in the state park, a beautiful spot. We got to know each other. We went out on paddles, and cleanups, and then, from that point on, we don't miss a beat. We're friends. We're more than friends, and we're always going to be connected in a way that never would have happened if not for social media and for our passion for, a shared passion to save the oceans.
Awesome. Josh, the bus, the bus may be more famous than you at this point. Could you tell our audience about your bus and living on a bus and what you had to do with the bus to move it around?
It has a name, right? I mean, let's call it by its name.
Yes,
Yeah.
what is it called, Josh?
The wave saver.
The wave saver.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, when this idea came to me, like it kind of just like hit me like a brick wall. Like I was just like, this is what I have to do, and I was just like, I have to do this, and I was like, wait, if I want to be able to be mobile, you know what I mean? I want to be able, if I want to make an impact, I have to be able to go around the whole coast of the United States. It is like, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to experience van life and practice van life, and I was like, I like it's just like, I don't know. And I was like, I want to fill my bus full of clothes, like upcycled clothing. I've always been to thrifting clothes because and that's the other thing too I want to talk about is like clothing actually is a big reason of plastic pollution. Every time clothing made of polyester and acrylic clothing, it's full of tiny microplastics, and every time you wash them, millions of microfibers end up in our oceans, and they're so tiny that they do really affect the ecosystems and stuff. So by reusing and recycling these clothes, it does make such a big difference. So yeah, it's so much harder to produce my clothes, and it takes a lot more time and energy, but it is so much more rewarding, and people love the idea of everything being different. But yeah, so back to the bus, I was like, I don't know, I just had this idea. I just wanted to do that. The bus was going to be a big part of like my project. And so I found this old 2000 Ford E450 bus down the road from my house. I met the guy. This guy used to transport old tires. And I bought it off him for $1,600, and I redid the whole thing and converted it to be a wave saving machine. Nothing fancy, you know, I just put all the money I've saved into it. So it doesn't have like any running water, or it has a solar panel for the electricity that I have to put out manually every time. It has a bed and then storage for my clothes. Really, it's really simple and minimal. But yeah, that thing is great. I mean, we've had some issues, and it's broken down in pretty uncertain times. There's been times where it was like 104 degrees outside. There's been times where it was like 20 degrees outside. And so I've experienced it all in that thing, and I can't wait to get back on the road.
Yes, I know. It's in my driveway at the moment. So
Wait, that's not the bus. You're not in the bus right now, Jennifer? I thought that
No,
was
yeah, that would have been a great idea. I should have broadcasted in the bus. But the bus is, as big of a part of the story as, Josh and the clothes and everything. So I'd like to get to, you kind of filled us in on how you guys connected through social media. And, I know that you did a lot of work and just had this really instant, friendship when you guys met. And now the relationship has evolved since then, since first meeting. So can you tell us more about what it means to be partnering right now, and how COVID has impacted that?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying when I first started this journey, I originally was so I have this grand goal of $1 million, and just kind of a thing for people to be like, oh, he's trying to raise $1 million for the oceans. But, it's not going to stop there. And in the beginning, I was raising money for the Ocean Conservancy, which is one of the largest non-for-profits for our oceans. And they do great work, but they're at the top, right? And on my journeys, I connected and collaborated with so many different smaller guys, like smaller not-for-profits, because they're all over the coastline. But Surfrider has their own chapters, Tibby Beach Cleanup in Georgia, and Send It for the Sea in Miami, great guys. And then Manny too, Philibag. So I kept meeting all these smaller 501c3 not-for-profits that are fighting for our oceans, that need way more help than these larger not-for-profits, which rake in like a lot of money each year for their not-for-profits. And I quickly realized like who really needs the help, which are these smaller guys like Manny and Philibag. And so I think I reached $25,000 for the Ocean Conservancy. And then I decided to stop their GoFundMe. And then I talked to Manny about collaborating and seeing if we could raise him some money. And we started his GoFundMe. And my goal for him is $30,000. So
yeah, and we're so grateful. You know, that's just icing to what this relationship means. What you know, what I don't know if Josh really made clear, but you know, the way he doesn't just go around and like magically conjure money. You know, his thrifting project is so remarkable. His one of one wear is just a great way for him to, you know, it's such a creative way for him to find an audience and connect with that audience, because, you know, who doesn't, you know, the millennials, they're like the clothes drops, you know, like the drops where we're dropping a number of items, and people absolutely love it. I see people wearing Save the Wave stuff around here in Miami. It's like a badge of honor, you know? Yeah. And it's such another way to connect with people, and to use that as a vehicle to raise money. It's just remarkable. We're so grateful, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
I could be more happy to to be raising money for Philibag right now. Just what they do and what they're behind is just really important to me and my small little team of people that help me do what I do. So
awesome.
Hey, I pulled up some facts here I'd like to kind of talk to you guys about in regards to plastic pollution. I'm pulling these from National Geographic, and they have a bunch of different sources, but it is about plastic pollution. They say every year about 8 million tons of plastic waste escapes from the oceans from coastal nations. That's equivalent to 5 garbage bags full of trash on every foot of coastline around the world, like wrapping around the world. Production increased exponentially from 22.3 million tons in 1950 to 448 million tons by 2015. And it's going to double by 2050. So this is a problem that's not slowing down. And half of all plastics ever manufactured have been made in the last 15 years. So I just kind of wanted to take a break from, you know, because I don't know, those are just the facts. Those are the real facts about what this problem is and like what it's turning into. So I just kind of wanted to break up the interview by kind of telling some people, letting that sit in some people's minds.
Thank you.
No problem.
I found a quote today and I wanted to read it to both of you. This is a quote by Jamal Yogis, and he wrote a book called Saltwater Buddha, a surfer's guide to finding Zen on the sea. And he said, what is more malleable is always superior over that which is immovable. This is the principle of controlling things by going along with them, of mastery through adaptation. And I was thinking about both of you, and I was thinking about how difficult this year has been with COVID kind of turning all of our lives upside down. And I can't help but reflect on that right now, how we've been so, you know, it's been so difficult to be in this space of uncertainty and groundlessness and worry. And you're right, we've been trying to stay healthy. We've been trying to support our local economies by supporting restaurants. We've been, you know, grieving deeply with all of the loss we are all facing. And many of us have kind of turned our back on these important issues that we simply cannot turn our back on. How has the pandemic impacted you personally? How has it impacted your projects? And how do we get back on track? How do we get people back on track now that we're going through this transition of the return eventually to some sort of normal?
Yeah, you want to go first, Josh, or should I go?
So I'll start with, how COVID affected me personally. Like I said in the beginning, in March of last year, 2020, COVID just kind of came and it was a surprise to everybody, and nobody kind of really knew where it started with the whole 2 weeks. You're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks and then start it all again. And then it's like, okay, well, actually it's going to be 2 months. And then look where we're at now, it's almost a year and a half from there. And we're still kind of in that uncertainty phase. But so yeah, I did have to pull my bus. But right now I'm sitting in a little office in my hometown, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I kind of just adapted. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to still, make clothes. I'm just going to kind of settle down for now until I could figure out when it's safe to go back on the bus. But now I'm actually fully vaccinated. I got the Moderna vaccine because I have asthma and my doctor had an open spot for me. So I'm fully vaccinated. The weather's starting to get nice. So I'm starting to work on the bus again, and I'm starting to kind of start turning the gears again and bring everything back to motion. And I'm starting to slowly but surely build up this next tour. I hopefully can start get on the road this summer. Hopefully it'll be my 2 years since I started Save the Wave, July 15th. So I'm kind of using July 15th as a date for when I want to start the Save the Wave back up and actually get back on the road and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that I could. I think that we're moving into a time and space where we could get things going like that again. But and then COVID, obviously we talked on how COVID has affected plastic pollution, how we've kind of been using a lot more plastic because of just the world we entered with takeout. And at one point the only thing that was important was staying alive and being healthy for your friends and family. So I mean, by all means necessary, there was a point where people had to use plastic when they didn't want to. So I read this post at the beginning of the pandemic of this lady from New York. I think she has a page called Plastic Pollutes, and she didn't use single-use plastics for 5 years. She's really strict, because it's really hard not to, you know what I mean? I even use it sometimes. I make sure I try to refuse it properly, but this lady didn't use it for 5 years. And then the pandemic happened and she had no other option because of her safety. She lived in New York. Or yeah, I think I said that, New York. Yeah. And she had to use plastic blues, and it's just kind of her health was more important, and she had to adapt and start using plastic. So.
Right. We've all been riding this kind of wave of change, of constant uncertainty and change. Manny, tell me how COVID has affected you and the Fill-A-Bag project.
Yeah. So, when we started Fill-A-Bag, we didn't know what we were doing. We applied to this grant, the Miami Foundation's Public Space Challenge, which invited people to activate a public space, to create a pocket park, a community garden, light a bike path. So we submitted our idea for the Fill-A-Bag station, and we won. And we were one of 20 winners out of 500 entries. And our goal, as I mentioned, was the MVP model, a minimal viable product. We're going to put it out there and see how it evolves. Our goal the first year was to activate 5, and we activated 20. So the second year, that was 2019. The second year was when COVID hit. We had another 20 or 30 in the pipe, but everything went on lockdown, right? And so what we said was, man, at Fill-A-Bag, we've been social distancing since 2015. You go out there for a walk on the beach, it's just you and your bucket and a friend who's maybe over there. So what we saw, we're we have a saying, we're everybody knows this saying, we're just going to make lemonade. And what we saw that what happened, some of the incredible things, and hopefully the legacy and lasting legacy, positive legacy from COVID, is what happened in the home. Everybody was home. The kids were with their parents. They were working together, going to school together. Sorry, there's a lot of noise out there. Is that really bad?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we decided, like everybody else or many other organizations, it was time to pivot. And what we did was we put together this initiative, and it was, clean up KB, clean up Key Biscayne. That's where we live. Are you tired of Zoom meetings and online school? Get your pod together and let's go for an eco activity and an eco adventure with Fill-A-Bag. So, homeschool pods, friends and family pods, work pods, social club pods, whatever it was, the people that you'd been isolating with over the course of COVID, it was an opportunity for you, your group of 10 or 15 or 8 or whatever it might be, to come out and experience this gateway eco activity. And what we found was that the pods were made up of multi-generational. It was the parents and the kids, because that's who you've been with. And it was just so remarkable to see talk about connections, the connections that people were making within their own family units, within their own pods when they had this type of experience. So, basically that's what we're doing now. We're not advertising big cleanups or doing big cleanups like many groups are, which are remarkable in their own right. They have 100 people and they stagger 10 each hour or 20 each hour, whatever it might be. We're just getting inbound pods reaching out and saying, hey, can you help us do this? And so we're just following that MVP model. We're just going to continue to iterate along whatever is laid out in front of us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so good to hear. You're right. I mean, we've been looking for activities as a family to do outside. So if we were near the beach, we would be calling you up to schedule.
Or you just go out there and you grab a bucket. We often joked, it's like the Fill-A-Bag stations, it's almost not fair. It's almost too easy to get somebody to engage in this gateway activity.
Right. Like,
and then we know that once they do,
yeah.
they're gonna have to do it again, or
Right.
they're not gonna see trash the same, or not see trash anymore.
Right. Once your eyes are opened, right, and you really understand the problem, it's hard to look. You can't look away. You can't.
But we also realize, and I'm sure everyone on this call can relate to this. We already do some things well. There are things that we can do better, and there are things that we don't even know that we can do. And
Right.
so once you get on that path and you find the wins in your own life, like what you're doing, even though if it's something small, it's something that you're doing, you can take pride in that, and then allow that to iterate accordingly into different types of behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. What inspires you right now? Like, what is, what's giving you hope, and what keeps your passion project going?
Yeah, I know for me, that's easy. What inspires me are the people that I meet because of this, people that I wouldn't necessarily have met before or interacted with. And besides the amazing organizations that are out there doing it, also more so the youth and the kids that we work with. There was a group of girls, of middle school girls here in Key Biscayne, who decided to go out and do Fill-A-Bag. And they were picking up trash, and then they were finding coconuts and decorating those coconuts with trash and calling them beach bunnies. And so they call themselves the KB Beach Bunnies. And one day we're at the farmer's market here on the island, and we see a Fill-A-Bag beach bunny painted in blue, the W for weirdos. We call ourselves weirdos who pick up trash on the beach. And they were selling these beach bunnies and raising money for Fill-A-Bag. And we're like, who are you? Who are these people? We didn't even know who they were.
Wow.
It was a group of 4 middle school girls on the island. And so we called them and their parents, and we're like, look, let's do a cleanup together. We showed up, we brought them buckets, we gave them each their buckets, and they created their own cleanup crew. And not only that, but listen to this. I'm going to try to get through this without crying, and then I'm going to go bring the bunny over here so you can see it.
Okay.
One of the girls, her name is Holly Thorpe. I don't mind saying her name because you can Google her. She did a science project on the effects of emissions from the school buses on not just the environment, but also what was seeping into the bus where humans were, and the dangers and hazards of this. That was her science project. Then she went to the Miami-Dade County Public School Board, fourth largest school district in the country, lobbied them, and now has them committed and have found the funding to convert their entire bus fleet to electric.
Wow.
How incredible is that?
That's, see, that's how it ripples out, you know?
Yeah. So like,
it's amazing.
The time and the exchange, the opportunity to, you know, what inspires me? The kids, the youth, and to have the opportunity to introduce them to something that may evolve into who knows what. That's everything for me. I'm gonna go get the bunny. Go ahead, Josh.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Josh, same question. You know, what keeps you going?
Yeah, just, I mean, I exactly, the youth, the generations beneath me, my generation and the generations beneath me, because at the rate we're going, our earth needs help. It always needs help. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't make sense as to, we have these different things like cornstarch, these different, or eco, like plant-based, like plastics, you know what I mean? That
biodegradable.
So we have these things that we can do to actually, you know, help our environment drastically. So I just kind of, I do it for the youth. I do it for generations underneath me. We can't just keep piling up these plastics in our oceans, because it will just be a problem to everybody one day if we don't do something about it now. And then just kind of like the response I get from people every day, there's people like cheering me on and rooting for me, and they believe in me, and they know that I and everybody else can make a difference. So I don't know, that inspires me a lot.
That's awesome.
Here's the bunny.
Show us the bunny. Oh,
that's how awesome is that?
That's
and then
awesome.
they even on there's a W here for weirdo on the ear, and on the back it has the Philibag logo.
Oh, that's so awesome, Manny. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Oh, well, we have a ton of questions that have come in. So I want to get to the questions and open this up for discussion from the group. So, oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Let me get there. I have one that says that your energy is so palpable. And I just wanted you to know that you could really feel, I could really feel your authenticity and just your, so awesome. Okay. It says here, Rachel said, I love the positive spin on the power of social media. It's easy to demonize it, especially in the mindfulness world. But this is such a good example of its power to connect people and inspire. And yeah, technology, I mean, it's wild, isn't it? You know, I was on an interview earlier in the week with a woman from India, and we were able to connect, and, you know, here we are, and there's people here from the UK. There's people here from France. We're here, you know, you're in Florida, we're up here in Pennsylvania, and we could all come together to talk about the ocean, which we're all connected to in such a deep way, whether we're living on the coast or not. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I like to show people you can have fun with it too. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, there's just like, I show people my travels and how I could like kind of like travel around and just kind of have fun with saving the earth, and kind of just like, you could still do everything you want to do. It's just a balance of that. So
if it weren't for technology, obviously, or social media, we wouldn't have met, nor would we have done Fill a Bag, because it started with us walking, filling a bag, and then sharing a selfie, and on our chats or our socials, and people were able to connect to that somehow, and then we just, you know, believed in this idea and went for it.
Yeah, at Studio B, we always say, you know, our mission is to use technology for good. And, you know, you're both doing the same thing. I have another question here what does the future hold for Save the Wave in the post-COVID world? So Josh, you're going to get back out on the road this year?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's my plan.
Where are you headed?
So I have 2 routes right now up in the air, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is this route where I'm going to kind of swiftly go down the East Coast, not like super quick, but kind of swiftly, and then get to Florida where I left off. I left off in Florida, Tampa, and my plan was go around the whole coast. And so I feel like that might be a good spot for me to go back to, considering how open it is down south right now because of COVID. Like I said before, I am fully vaccinated. So I think what my plan is going to be to go to Florida, kind of wrap around those southern states, get to Texas, go down the coast of Texas, and then kind of climb out to the West Coast. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do.
I might have to hop on a leg of that journey. I'll fly in, get on the bus.
Do it. You and Chico. You have to bring Chico though. That's the only.
I'll bring Chico. He's 14 now, so but I'll try and bring him. But I'm definitely gonna hop on for a leg and get Brother Ocean out there too.
Yes. Where is Brother Ocean?
He's back home in California. I saw he's back home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So everyone who doesn't know, Brother Ocean is my partner in crime. He is my friend, Mike from California. He resides in Huntington Beach, but he traveled with me from around Thanksgiving 2019 until we basically got kicked off the journey because of COVID in March of 2020. And he's just a good friend of mine. He's helped me so much with cleanups and filming. And I think we're still talking about it, but I think he's going to hop on too.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're excited. Okay, some more questions. Just another comment. I think everybody's just thinks this is so awesome, working on a community level and giving a platform to those that need it. I have a question here for Manny. Manny, how could one set up a fill-a-bag for a park or trail in one's community?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that we started, well, we've always done it, but more so through COVID is, and we're going to stand it up as part of our, when we build our website's not live yet. So if you go in there and no one answers your questions, it's because it's not live. You can find me on Instagram. I'll also put my number there. But we have a DIY process. We have it down to an art. Do it yourself. You know, you want to activate a fill-a-bag station at your favorite beach, at your favorite park, trail, whatever it might be. It works like this. You reach out, you raise your hand, say, I'm interested. It doesn't cost you anything other than your blood, sweat, and tears. We'll provide you with everything you need to get started, or most of what you need to get started, including fill-a-bag signs. And then what we'll do is we'll meet for a Zoom meeting and probably carve out about 30, 40 minutes. We'll take you through the DIY process. We'll use that as a discovery opportunity to understand what is your location like? What is your town like? Who are the stakeholders in your town? How do you approach them? How do you get permission? What does it take? What's it take from you? What do we provide? How do you pick a location? We cover the whole thing. So please, if you're interested in a fill-a-bag station, let's do it.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. And
that's one of the reasons, that's why I'm raising money, because I want to get, I mean, the 30 grand I'm trying to raise for fill-a-bag could get so many of these stations to coastal communities around the country. So that's just what it comes down to, as simple as that.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, the next question is a great question for a last question. And we're almost at the end of the hour, which is hard to believe. And it comes from Paula, and she's saying, how do we're obviously Studio B is a mindfulness training company. We really teach people how to really have a relationship with the present moment and develop awareness and compassion and empathy. And so this question is, how can we do a trash cleanup, a ocean cleanup or trail cleanup mindfully? And, you know, do you have any ideas on that, Manny? I know.
I do, absolutely. I've got all kinds of ideas.
Awesome.
That.
Go ahead. Give it to us.
Well, it all starts with being safe. That's something that we already know after the last year. We need to be safe. So highly recommend a pair of reusable gloves. And then find your favorite receptacle. It could be a bucket. It could be a bag. It could be a bag that you already have, like not even a plastic bag, a reusable bag.
Mhm.
And then you don't need to be part of any organized event. You can just do, hashtag solo cleanup. That became a thing. You just do a solo cleanup. So what I like to do is I like to know where I am, appreciate the area, have at least a beginning point of where I'm going to begin my walk, and an idea of where I'm going to be going, so that you're almost going automatically. It's a familiar path for you, and you allow yourself the opportunity, you open up your senses and you allow yourself for the opportunity to discover what you discover along the way. Oftentimes when we get into the mangroves, like with Josh, we got into the mangroves, I said, guys, when you get in there, look as you're paddling, look for one thing, look for one piece of trash. And once you get in there and you discover that one piece of trash, then just stop and allow yourself to take in where you are, acclimate, and you're going to start seeing more trash. And, so allow yourself that opportunity to be very present in that moment, wherever you are, and then just follow the path. I don't know if that's mindfulness or not, but that's kind of my Zen spot.
Manny, that is absolutely mindfulness. Yeah. That's absolutely a practice, what you just described.
And then, the other thing that I would encourage people to do is once they go out and they do this and they make these connections with their environment and within themselves, take a friend next time, and you don't even have to talk on the way. Just go do that initial orientation. Hey, here's the gloves. Make sure you keep them on the whole time. I found a needle here. I found this. I found a dirty diaper. Be careful. Allow yourself to understand your environment and where you are. Be open to seeing what you see, and just go for it, and allow it to be something that's personal for them without too much structure.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, Manny, next time I'm down in Miami, I'm going to come find you and we'll do a beach cleanup for sure.
Jennifer, if I ever hear that you're in Miami and you don't call me or reach out, if I ever see it on social, or Josh tells me my mom was there, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be very upset. I don't mind saying
in the mangroves.
Yeah, you have my word. I love Miami. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. And next time I'm down there, I'm going to come find you and keep.
I can't wait. Wait. Thank you.
Awesome. So before we close up, tell our audience how they could find you, how they could get in contact with you. We'll also be posting both the Fill-A-Bag contact information, their Instagram page, and the video that we shared on our social media and blog, and also for Josh's project, Save the Wave. So any last words from you? Anything you guys want to share with?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the wonderful participants in this, starting with you, Jennifer, and your team. Thank you so much for the invitation, and also for everyone. All these comments are just so inspiring. We know you get it. We know people get it, and for you to express that, it means everything. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want
to find us on Instagram at Fill-A-Bag. I'm sorry, you asked that too. Our website's not quite live yet, but
yeah. Fill-A-Bag on Instagram, Wavy Snell on Instagram and YouTube, wavysnell.com. You can just find me by Save the Wave in Google. And I just want to answer Clement. He asked what happens to the trash that we collected. Have you found some items to show and impress on people how slowly this trash decays? And I wanted to say, yeah, we, well, when we actually do our cleanups, we try to recycle as much of what we find as possible. Sometimes it's too damaged by being like sitting in the seawater and you have to just throw it away. And we do that. And then I also have a jar I keep in my bus full of microplastics that I could like you said, show and impress people on how it doesn't do anything. It just sits there, and that stuff lasts hundreds of years. So
a lot of the stuff I find that is like, ends up on my golf cart. Like I stick it onto my golf cart somehow. So it's the trashy cart. But
yeah,
Josh said much of the stuff that we find in our environment is so damaged and so contaminated that it's impossible to recycle it. Many times it has even, barnacles or life growing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before, I just thought of something, Josh, that would be also interesting to share with the group. When you were picking up cigarette butts in Florida, that you donated them to another organization that was making
surfboards.
Mhm.
Surfboards and cigarettes. So when I hit the $10,000 raised mark, I was like, what could I do to celebrate raising $10,000 for our oceans? And I thought I can go pick up 10,000 cigarette butts on our coast. So I think I was around like South Carolina or North Carolina maybe when I did that. And I went and handpicked, me and my partner, 10,000 cigarette butts from the local coastal community that we were about to go into our oceans. I went, and there's a video on that on my social media too. So
yeah, we'll share that video too, for sure. There's just so many awesome people doing amazing things for all of us. And I think that's what I'm kind of resting on right now, that, Manny and Josh are just two people out of an army of people that are out there every day doing work to save our environment, the oceans, the rainforests, our waterways. Please support them with every dime makes a difference. I promise you, every dime makes an impact. So thank you all so much for making this a priority today in this month of Earth Day, when we're really thinking about and celebrating this planet. And Manny and Josh, thank you so much for your time today, for your presence, for your energy, for all of the hard work that you're doing for each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Studio B.
Thank you, Studio B. Be well.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming today. Have a great day.
Awesome talk. Thanks, everyone.